We've also been provided minutes for April 15th, was in your package. There's been one change made, a spelling to catalyst was updated within the minutes. Between the ones that you're looking at on screen are correct. The ones in our earlier package were incorrect. We've made that correction. Is there any other comments on the minutes? If not, if someone...
I'll move that we approve the minutes as corrected.
Thank you. Any more discussion? All in favor? Carried. Do we need introductions today? Jarrett, do you know the gang? Okay, thank you. All right, reports. Go ahead, Rob.
Good morning. I don't know if I'll go line by line through the report. It's a little bit long, but I'll skim over it fairly quick here, I guess. So far, things we've been up to, we've had the bursary applications completed. That's on the agenda for today. Herbicide orders, everything's received and in the warehouse. Our mapping program, there's still a few issues to work out, but those will take us actually being out in the field and inspecting, so that'll take a couple months to sort that out. Tank loader setups are underway. We're just waiting on some equipment arrival and programming for that. Spray trucks, we went through those. We were able to actually get them out in the field and test them. Things are actually working quite well with that now, so I think we're fingers crossed. We should just be ready to hit the road running. Grain bag collections, that's resumed. We've had a few more come in lately. I think that's pretty well cleaned everything up now till fall, which is nice. So we have enough for a load. They can clean out our yard, so we shouldn't have plastic blowing around. And then we had our meeting with Alberta Transportation.
Rob, Board Member Hunter.
Oh, sorry.
You're talking about the grain bag. Maybe this should be later, but I got asked about those silage bales, plastic and that.
Yep.
We're nowhere close to. I just talked to one guy and he fills a dumpster a month.
Yep. With
that plastic.
Yeah, and I mean we're trying to figure out how to actually like collect, because there will be a time when we can bring it in. It's just that the challenge is how people cut it so we can collect it and bale it. Because I know we went out and picked up a couple just to see how it would go, do a little test program kind of, and that's sort of the challenge right now. It's just it's
these people would bag it in those twine bags, I'm sure.
Yeah, but that's not how they if they're gonna take the silage plastic, they want it like you're talking like covering a silage pit.
No, silage bales.
Like the silage bales themselves, that's still not like where it's more like the saran wrap. That's still not in their purview to.
Okay, no, I just because that person is out here.
Yeah,
and they fill a bin a month.
Yeah, and
that's going in our landfills.
Yeah, and they are looking at how to create a bit of a pilot for that. But as far as like we were trying to collect the other silage tarp type things and just make that work as well and fit it in. And we're just trying to figure out how to make it easier to roll and bring those in as well. So I guess there's.
So just to follow up, and then we'll go to Board Member Brooke. So when you say they, is that Clean Farms or is that Bashaw? Clean Farms?
Yeah. Okay. It's through Clean, just so that there's actual funding available to do it, right?
Okay. So, Board Member Brooke?
Just a question, like, is it a different plastic on the individual wrap bales versus the tubes?
Yeah, it is. It's like, it's a stretchy, I can't remember the exact.
It's kind of like saran wrap.
It is, and that's the struggle they have, is just trying to pack and process and run it through the equipment. It's just, they need to know there's going to be a large enough allotment, like volume wise, to sort of tool up to make it happen. And right now that's not,
it doesn't have the critical volumes to actually.
Yeah, like just the economics aren't quite making sense to make that happen yet. But
and so Clean Farms doesn't have a solution yet,
but working on it. So yeah.
So then both types of silage plastic, like the tubes and the individual ones, they're not recycled yet.
Yeah, like as far as like for wrapping the tube or individual bales, we're not. Okay, and then we had a meeting with Alberta Transportation and Economic Corridors just to discuss the spray program along our highways. And so we're tentatively like around that $10,000 is what what they'll pay for contracted services for that. So that looks positive. Our grant reporting is completed and submitted. Staff, oops, sorry, it's my spot here.
Just to Rob, with Department of Highways, is that if we see toad flax or something in there, we notify you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we'll take care of it. And then we have our hourly rate and stuff set up, and it's pretty close to it's comparable with general contractor rates or whatever. So our cost recovery is actually pretty good on that. So
What happens when the railway borders the highway, like east of Stettler? Is that rail right away, or is that because there's been a spot where there's been toad flax in there for 15 years and nothing's ever been done with it?
yeah, and the rail right away is its own can of worms. That's that one's outside of our
But it's between, it could be highway right away. It could
like
be
it.
railroad.
Yeah, I mean it depends what their easement actually is assigned to that, but it's generally if it's along the tracks or within darn near 20 feet of either side, it's railway. So it's a sticky situation. They've got some serious rules there. So
You're able to follow up though if Larry gave you a site to see?
oh yeah, for sure.
I'll
Yeah, because I mean like
so
we can still issue notices and do those kinds of things with rail as well. So okay, and then staff training. We have pretty well. We have staff going through UT training today. We had yesterday as well. Myself and Farah, we both did our advanced drone pilot training, passed those exams, so we got our advanced drone licenses now. We have 5 seasonal staff hired, and then there's the list of basically everything we put them through. It's kind of a long list of training for the year, but it's what's required. And then we've been working on the Strychnine rollout and learning as much about that as we can as the information comes. It's been a bit of a challenge because things keep changing or whatever. But as of right now, we have this says 115, but we have 123 producers on our list so far that have contacted us about Strychnine. Our Richardson ground squirrel bait stations, we tried 3 different products. We didn't have a lot of luck with the ones that we tried. You could probably describe it as an epic fail. Actually, it didn't work very well. So in the future, we might look at what we mentioned the other day.
Zinc phosphate?
Yeah, zinc phosphide. Sorry, just slipped my mind. We might look at trying that because we are able to use that in parks and areas like that as well. So we'll give that a try and see how effective it is as an alternative. So because it is on the label.
So are the bait stations done for the year then?
We're probably going to pull them out. Yeah,
Okay.
like they're still there. They're out there, but we just haven't seen results.
Okay.
So
Board Member Clerk?
just at the 4-H show and sale last night, there's a lot of other people asking about strychnine,
yeah,
but they've been up to their necks in fields and everything else. But they talked about the whole things with gophers and how silly it is when it's rolled out, but the training and stuff. So I think that 115 is probably a very small
oh yeah,
number.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And we've got lots of strychnine chat coming up pretty quick here. Now this, and then yeah, as far as environmental farm plans, we've 3 approvals in April. Oh, stupid screen. Sorry, my screen's got all sizing's weird here. There we go. No, we should be fixed. Yeah, 3 approvals in April. We've had 8 environmental farm plans approved through 2026, which has actually been pretty good. It's a little bit of a downtick, but there's not a lot of new funding coming out. So I think people that were grabbing funding last year, there was a big run to get that done. So, and then we've been working on gravel pit reclamations and trying to get that stuff organized or whatever. So for the most part, that's going fairly well. And I think we have a decent plan moving forward, but that's more of a council topic. And then education and outreach, the CAP program or classroom ag program has been well received. We had a lot of fun doing it. 13 different schools, approximately 235 students presented to, and it was it was actually a really good program. It was nice that we were able to coordinate with Miranda and the school board this year, and we went from 3 or 4 basically Hutterite schools to actually getting into the rest of the classrooms, and that was actually really awesome this year. And then next week, our educational agriculture tour is on Thursday, and the Clearview School Board, they're going to be attending that. They reached out to us the other day, so they're going to come for that one as well. And it should be a lot of fun. We're pretty well completely organized for that. So go ahead.
Just wondering how many kids are signed up for classes.
We're right around 100, like as far as the tour,
Yeah.
158, I think we have for the day ish, give or take. So
Good.
it should be a fun day. And then we have 5 different exhibits like of poultry, cattle, dairy, things like that. So yeah.
While we're on that topic,
Yep.
I think it would be good if some of us could drop by for that event.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we got anything in our calendar, but if the board wants to attend, should that be paid? Do we want to pay board members to drop by, or would that be at our thoughts? Yeah. Yeah. So it would not be paid, but you're welcome to attend. Is that fine with folks here? Okay, Clint? Okay, all right, thank you.
And then, the young women in trades, we had the girls touring May 12th and 15th. We were part of that. That was a lot of fun, extremely well received. I think the kids had a great time, learned a lot. So we even got to teach them a little bit about ag. So that was fun. Maybe not a trade, but they were entertained anyways. Rentals, they seem to be going out. That mulch applicator has actually been fairly busy. We're going to be changing kind of the policy around that thing because it's shared between 3 different counties, and some of the maintenance, like we did a bunch of maintenance when it came here to get it kind of back up to par and working well. So we're going to come up with a bit of a maintenance strategy that we share with the other counties so it stays in good working order moving forward.
Who do we share that with for information? Do you know offhand?
Flagstaff and Starland.
Okay,
Yeah. And now it's working really well. So, and then just continued trails, parks maintenance. Been doing a lot of that. Now with that wind, we have a bunch more trees to go and chop up and clean up there. So, and now ag is taking over.
Jared, could you roll the screen? Thank you.
Yeah,
Not sure
ag is
where you're at.
now that we've
farther down.
taken over the mowing program or whatever. That seems to be going fairly well. There's a few kinks and things to work out there, but I think we're getting it figured out. So it's good. And then as far as outreach, things like that, just been promoting the bursary, and then Richardson ground squirrel promotions, off calf, the Strict 9 program, Great Twine Roundup, and then Weed Watch Wednesdays, and then our spring safety campaign that's been going on as well. And then we had some advertisements in the Stettler Independent. So that's kind of what we've been up to.
Board Member Clark?
Rob, is mowing under your department again?
It is, yeah. So we've taken that over this year.
It's been a repeat and Pete.
It does seem to kind of bounce around,
Yeah.
but we're gonna dial it in. It's gonna be good. So
Rob's new, I guess, right?
Yeah, no, you might as well do the same thing all over again with somebody new, because that's what's happened. We've stretched our egg department too far
Okay.
numerous times.
yeah, we're feeling a little stretchy this year, but
Yeah.
we'll that's okay. Well,
Board Member Stevens?
I do think we have more seasonal staff this year than we would have had last year, so maybe,
no,
no?
it's the opposite. We actually have less.
Oh,
Yeah, we're definitely down. We could use one more for sure, but yeah.
So how many, for the board's information, how many seasonal staff have you brought on,
So we have
and how
4.
many on mowing? 4?
We have 4 mowers, like in the mowing staff, and then we have, well, one extra seasonal. So I guess there's 5, and then we'll have one that's here for like 6 or 7 weeks. So we end up with about 6. Normally we'd have 7 is what was in there for the season. So
Rob, is there plans to use this mowing stuff or anything other than mowing?
yes,
Really?
like, well, on rainy days, like odd jobs, like
Okay.
they're going to be busy mowing. Like,
Okay. No, I
yeah, oh yeah,
totally agree with you.
yeah. And we've kind of looked at taking care of a little bit more of the trails and things like that. And so, like on the rainy days and things, we'll have them in there trying to keep that stuff clean a little early on, because I know it's turned into a fall project most years. So we're going to try and incorporate it throughout the season to, you know.
I'm hoping for lots of rain, so they have tough time keeping up. But
Yeah, hopefully they can. Yeah, that'd be a good thing. But
I did see they were over in the McKay Hayden subdivision this morning already.
yeah, it seems to be going actually fairly well. We had a few mechanical things to sort out, but
I have another question. on mowing.
okay.
Rob, with mowing, you saw a ratepayer concern yesterday come in about Gadsby.
I didn't, but
This
will now.
happens. This happens every year.
Yep.
The county properties aren't mowed, like the lots, etc. And we will get a report every time that something's missed from a couple individuals. So it was. I wondered when it was happening. I thought they'd be coming back another day, but it.
Right.
So we're gonna have to look, because there's a back alleys. There's things that have been mowed and have been agreed to be mowed.
So
So I don't know where the maps go. I don't know what happens. It happens every year though.
so Monday morning, I have kind of an ongoing list. Like I wanted them basically just to go out for the first period, do whatever they do, and just, you know, see where the issues are after they've went through it all. Monday we have a meeting planned to figure out, like, where are we doing more than we should be doing, and where are we not doing enough. Like there's certain areas that we probably shouldn't be mowing, just safety wise and things like that. So we're going to be going over that, and I'm diving into mowing kind of next week, now that we kind of have that information, is what because they've done a loop so far, and now we can kind of see where the shortcomings are and what we need to do to adjust, because there's some things.
Yeah,
So
just borrow some firefighting gear from our partners so that you can put out the fires that come up.
That's-
with this.
board member Hunter.
I don't know, like Larry, these lots in Gadsby, they come up all the time. So,
Every year they come up because they get there and then they become a fire hazard.
so dumb question, if we sprayed them out, is that a solution?
I guess if you want to have dead lots all over the place and have weeds coming in, what's
Well,
easier to control, the
Supposed to-
grass or the weeds?
Yeah, I
They
think-
should get the weeds.
Like a 50 by 100-foot lot with those mowers doesn't take long to do. And
Okay, no, I'm just,
Yeah.
didn't know what
It's-
situation it was or.
It's apparent, Rob, there's some interest here. So next month, I think if you could elaborate a little bit on what you've learned before
Yeah.
the second loop, and bring that forward. I think it's news to the board that you're looking after mowing, so you're the guy.
yeah, we're the team. So no, we'll get it figured out, because there were definitely a lot of questions.
did they transfer that budget over to you, or are you still doing it under the same budget, Rob?
No, like the budget's still sort of staying under Public Works for that. Like there's a little bit of shared with staffing and things like that, but for the most part, like the operations of the mowers, fuel, that kind of stuff is under the operations Public Works line item there. So yeah, like next year we'll probably slide it over, depending how it goes and how that budget all looks, or how they want to do it. I don't know. It's different for me that budget wouldn't be completely under my my purview if we're doing it, but that's
Okay.
another topic. So
Board member Walker.
I wonder what the price of that is. What is it? Lots of time, shield them and spray them twice a year. And the weeds, I drag it as well. The weeds never come out that like it's. If you go in there and mow, if it rains lots, you're mowing way too much. I wasn't gonna haul the mower in, so just shield it, spray it. Spray it twice a year. And the weeds do not come out.
That's a personal choice. I've got lots in Gadsby we mow.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you know, if it's a parking lot, I don't know, but what's the price of shale and what's the price if you sell that lot for somebody to put a house on versus like it's not a park, it's just that they're empty lots, eh? And but the county does have a bunch of empty lots that they've received back from tax purposes, et cetera. And I guess if we want our hamlets to look like parking lots, we can just pull in with I can pull in with my rogator sprayer and we can start get to town on it. Yeah.
Board Member Stevens.
I think we need to try and keep these lots appearing as sellable as possible. I mean, that is the end intent, that we don't want to own any lots. We want to pass this off, and I question whether the shale, I mean, that's personal preference. Some people think that it looks very good. The outright spraying them and killing them off, I think what little chance we have for selling that lot drops to zero at that point. Like it would look like an eyesore, and it would not be attractive if someone was looking at purchasing.
Okay, Rob's got that feedback and
Yeah.
you can continue.
Yeah, and I think moving forward, like if we are, responsible for those lots, like they're either county property or whatever, like I'd like to have them in the rotation consistently. So it definitely, I know there's a few of them, and there's been some debate there, but we'll sort those out. Yeah, upcoming events. The Eat Tour is May 28th at the Ag Society, and then June 12th we have our ASB chair meeting in Canmore, which is kind of cool. The ASB summer tour is July 14th to 16th. Then we have a garden club presentation July the 12th, and then the Stettler County Fair July 27th to August 1st coming up. So
Regarding the chair meeting, any
Yep.
concerns with me attending from the board? I plan to go over with the group here to that chair meeting. Seem reasonable? Okay, thank you. Yep, just making sure. Thank you.
and that's about all I have for my Fieldman report this morning, other than some pretty pictures.
Rob, there was in the minutes discussion about getting a meeting with government. Do you know the status of that
I did.
regarding our resolution to help with the context?
Yes, I spoke with Yvette. She didn't get any traction yet. She sent out the feelers to actually schedule something, but she hasn't
Okay.
received information back on scheduling or whatever. She kind of got ghosted, so she was gonna work them over again to try and get something happening there. So
If you wouldn't mind including that in a future report, just so we stay on top of it and don't lose it, please. Any other questions of Rob? Board Member Hunter.
And like I said, I don't know these lots in Gadsby at all. Just wondering, instead of us going out, is there any retired old farmers that want to just, maybe mow a couple lots, save us going out there?
They tried a ball tournament at one spot. There's other communities that have those individuals that want to do it, but we tried it there and we tried it at Botha. And unless you got the people that have the pride, if it's a job, it doesn't get done properly. If it's pride in the community, they overdo it. So I know we did it in Bymore. I know a lot of our cemeteries have did that. I think Indiang does it. But Botha, Gadsby, the lake properties, do they mow it themselves? Okay. Yeah. We tried to bid it and stuff, or put it out at one point, and we didn't have the, far as what the ball association did, none of the people lived in the community. It was a complete friggin' disaster.
We have pushed that angle where we'll pay X amount per year to a community or nonprofit organization. If it was an ag society, for example, that wanted an extra $5,000 a year in funding, they have to come up with the volunteers and rotate and take turns mowing. We give them their funding. We've had mixed results.
Any other questions of Rob regarding his report? Rob, with the classroom agricultural program?
Yep.
That sounds like it was a great success. So great work for you and your team. So that was about fivefold what you had last year, or
Yeah,
fourfold? Yeah.
it was great. Yeah, like Farah, honestly, she's done an incredible job for us, like getting out there and getting information and stuff. She's done great. So worked well.
All right. If there's no other questions, can I have someone move acceptance of Rob's report? Board Member Brooke, any more discussion? All in favor? Carried. A business arising from the minutes. We've got a request for decision regarding the ASB bursary recipient.
All right. Yeah. So for the ASB bursary, we had 4 applications submitted. So basically today, like there was a selection criteria, went through of the 4 people that applied or whatever. And today what we're looking for is just a motion to accept the nomination for that bursary, which was, where is all the information? Oh, Clint, if you wanna. Okay. And I'm not sure what the usual process is for this, or if we want to make any changes to it moving forward, like how we do it as a group. I'm not all that familiar, and I wasn't part of the selection process, unfortunately, for this part of it. But yeah,
So maybe, Clint, I don't know if you want to speak to what the work that you did with Farah here.
Yeah. Also down as well, went through and we just, picked Samantha out of the group. She looked the best. That's why we picked the version.
So the process we have in front of us, what right or wrong, is that this board would make, if you're in agreement, would make a recommendation to council, and then council will contemplate it at the next meeting. Okay. So Board Member Clark makes a recommendation. Yep. For 1. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, number 1. So, any more discussion? All in favor? Carried. We'll get that on the council agenda now, I guess. Okay. Next up, request for decision, policy 3.14, agricultural tank loader station use.
yeah. Now that we've kind of reviewed the tank loaders and how they're used and everything else, if we're going to be putting in a monitoring system or a gate type system on the tank loaders, we just want to have a policy in place that kind of address the timelines and usage and things like that. So right now, it's basically a new policy completely drafted just for this because we had nothing previously. So I don't know if in the policy there was a request to change somewhere we had residents. Where was that?
Point number 7, looks like page 18.
Point number 7.
Jared, can you move that? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, residents. So yeah, 0.7 instead of residents would be ratepayers, I guess was the
Is that what you're thinking?
I'd be happy with ratepayers or landowners. The nature of these 3 locations, they're relatively close to our boundaries, either on the south or on the west side. It's just as possible that you have a farmer that has land on both sides of the municipal boundary, and I don't know that we should exclude them. If the intent is to weed out the absentee landowners, I think the chances of them using it are pretty limited if they're not here. So I would be more comfortable with ratepayers or landowners as opposed to residents.
Board Member Clerk.
What about residents, though, if they were renting a place and needed to haul water for livestock or something?
I mean,
they could get it through the landowner, I guess, but I mean, then the landowner would be billed versus, it's just a thought, because I can see that being a case in areas.
Just help me, Larry, with the example. So then they have land within the county of Stettler.
No, they're renting property
Okay, they're
with
renting.
animals.
I see.
And then if they needed water for livestock
Mm.
or if they were renting land and needed to spray, the same would be the same thing. They're a land
Right.
renter. They're a resident.
What word would cover off that example? Or do we, I think the concern would be, does the county of Stettler taxpayers want to pay for allow anyone or not? I don't have the answer. I'm just,
Harry's gonna say.
oh, board member Brooke.
What about just having ratepayers, but if there's someone else who's living or renting in the place, they could be an exception, they could contact the county and then get on the list. Cause there wouldn't be that many of them.
As long as it fits into the criteria.
I mean, ratepayer is a pretty loose term.
True.
I mean, the chances of you never paying any funding, even as a renter to the county, is somewhat limited. So if you went with that, it does leave it fairly broad.
As long as front staff knows that if they go to, because if they ask you for your title, your name on title, they wouldn't have it. They'd have to ask the ratepayer to kind of vouch for them or whatever,
If you're a renter.
if you're a renter.
The form is on the next page, I think. On that form, do we ask, what's the line item? Jared, could you just roll it there a little bit? Thank you. We've got legal land, so it looks like the form is set up right now for landowner, right?
It says legal land location, doesn't say your owner.
Yes.
So if you're
True.
renting land on the southeast of 28,
Right.
well, that's what you'd be putting down in.
Yeah. And I personally, I just don't think it's gonna be a big issue. So
Okay.
I'm fine with it.
You're fine with it leaving it as residence? What word would you like, board member?
Someone got a better word? I don't know, residents, consumers.
But
So I think what you're saying is you aren't concerned about use and you're open to whomever wants a fob, we'd give them a fob? Is that where you're at?
Yeah.
Again, we have an opportunity where this is a bit of a, call it test year for lack of, to understand the volumes. And so if we had someone that we're a bit concerned about, maybe let's just from another county that was using an extreme amount of water, we could investigate that and then determine if it's feasible or not to continue, and we could change the rules for next year.
Still, when it comes to rate too, if you got one that's taking all the water, I think that warrants a conversation where
Right.
there is other truck fills and
Yep.
and you utilize where there's a larger
We're-
supply too.
we're kind of making assumptions. I'm leaning towards board member Hunter's route of just remove the criteria. Users must register using the ag tag loader station enrollment form. And then you remove the criteria of who can get one altogether. At least then at the end of the year, we know exactly who has been using these.
Right.
We'll have accurate information. And if we want to update it prior
Yes.
to next year, so be it.
And maybe we'll get some of our over $12,000 back too.
Yes, agreed. So would we also update this form? Would we require a legal land location?
I think there's nothing wrong with
I
that.
think you leave it in there because that's the information we want back, whether that they're a renter, a landowner, or a landowner 4 miles across the
Yep.
boundary, at least we know.
Jared, can you roll back up to policy? Sorry to keep you busy there, but Members. So is there a motion? Go ahead, Board Member Stevens.
I will make the motion that we approve the tank loader station use policy with the amendment to .7, removing, if we could just slash out, the County of Stettler residents. So it would read, in place, users must register using the Ag Tank Loader Station Enrollment Form, etc.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Any more discussion? All in favor? Carried. All right, next up, rural water meeting distribution update.
And we kind of covered over that with not being able to get it the meeting booked with the event.
Oh, right,
So,
I'm sorry, that was it.
Yeah.
Okay. So for the minutes, that was discussed, and we'll continue to bring that forward until we get some resolution, whether it's we've quit asking or could someone,
I'll give you that motion, but if it's something you don't want to slip through the cracks and get forgot about, it is helpful if you just leave it as a standing item, even if there isn't an update, and that way it doesn't get lost in the shuffle.
yeah, we'll leave it as standing, but we go,
Also, speaking of shuffles, there could be a cabinet shuffle, so that could affect the people we're talking to too here in the next month or two.
new people to put on the list.
Yes, that's what they're trying to talk to.
Okay.
But I will give you the motion to receive the information.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Carried. Strychnine communication update. Strychnine species at risk info and county communications.
Yes, we've been doing quite a bit of outreach in that regards to strychnine. We've had 10 posts on social media. We've been trying to kind of get the information out there as it comes to us. We have our list ongoing, which we've been collecting people's emails and things like that and sending updates to the people who have reached out to us. All the training programs and stuff are available now online, and they take about an hour to do. So we have the link for that. We've been getting some feedback. For the most part, people have found it reasonable to attain to get the training. There's been a few that thought it was a little bit difficult, but for the most part, that's been reasonably accessible. There's still a few people that I don't know exactly how we're going to do it, if we're just going to help them with lining up some laptops and working them through it, because they just actually don't have the technology to do it. So we'll be helping with that. And so far, from everything we've gathered as far as the acquisition of strychnine, so it's basically producer training. They do that 1 hour program, and then eligibility, have to be a bona fide commercial producer, and then operate within the use area. So they've got to be within the County of Stettler. And they have to provide those documents, and we, unfortunately, it's hard to verify, but it sounds like it's all sort of falling on us to do it. Yeah, they'll have to have their training certificate, legal land description, and then they have to declare that they have some kind of integrated pest management program, that they've done a few things in advance prior to coming for strychnine. They have to have a treatment plan, and they have to basically acknowledge that they've read the label or whatever when they come in. And then as far as what we have to do, even if they come in for 1 bottle or 100 bottles, we have to verify their eligibility, confirm their land location within the county, make sure all their forms and things like that are filled out properly with all their needed requirements and things like that. And then afterwards, we have to make sure we get all those forms and things back in our hands or whatever, so they can actually close that file. If it's not, we can't reissue or whatever. So that's on us. What else do we got to do with that? Yeah, I feel like there's going to be a fair bit of policing. Like there's a lot of paperwork and where you're going to put it in signage and things like that. And so when they do eventually get strychnine, it'll be on us to do all the follow-ups. Like if you don't give us your documentation in 14 days or whatever it's going to be. That'll be on us to reach out and do those things. So it looks like from an administrative perspective, there's going to be a fair bit of a process with that. Like we have to go online and physically upload the files and documents and things like that through their SharePoint. And so far, it looks like if we don't log in every 2 months, you have to reset the whole system. So they've just got some things in place that are a little bit onerous. So I'm curious to see how it actually unfolds, but time will tell over the next few weeks, I guess. And then through this was just the strychnine question and answers kind of update or whatever that they'd sent us here. I don't know if you guys had a chance to go through much of that, but there's a lot of
Board Member Hunter?
What, hate to ask this question, but who's paying you to do all this?
well, I guess we consider that bit we get from Alberta Ag is what's kind of covering some of that maybe, but I'm really like I'm honestly some of this we're just guessing like how long this is going to take. Like,
Are you gonna track this a little bit?
100%.
Okay,
We're going to track every minute of it because unfortunately, like I was under the impression that we could maybe get some of the counter staff like at operations to maybe go through some of the paperwork and do that first, but no. Apparently, it has to be us who's designated under the act, and we've got all the licenses and things like that. So we're the ones that would review even the simplest paperwork from start to finish. And so where I thought we could sort of hand off, just a bunch of the basic administrative stuff, we can't. So it'll be between me and
So-
Vera to.
are you told that you have to sell this, like, say it's $1?
Yep.
Is that dollar a vial, is that everywhere? Or-
No, that's a little bit of a conversation. It'll be coming up here in the
Okay,
meeting because
sorry.
we're going to try and set that and discuss that.
I'm
But
just
we
just
can.
wondering about the cost of this, all this work you guys gotta do, if we can make it up on some of the,
Yeah, and that.
okay, no, sorry.
Yeah, definitely, it'll be a discussion coming up here because we have a few examples of what other counties are talking about and stuff. So,
Board Member Clark?
Back to Board Member Hunter, I think the federal government would love us to prove that it's too hard for us to do. And you know what their solution would be.
If you were going to pick a topic that is important to our ag producers right now, I think this would be somewhere near the top of the list. So if we were to poll our farmers and say, are you fine with some of your tax money going towards ensuring the availability of strychnine sales? I wouldn't say 100% would agree, but it would be close.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, Rob, you can continue.
um,
Thank you.
yeah, so then we reached out to the province and we got some information on the species at risk within the county of Stettler. So they gave us kind of a breakdown, and that's part of this, all the birds and pictures and things here. And it did list badgers in there, which is,
Board Member Clark?
Yeah, I have to comment on that.
I figured.
If,
yeah,
as I told you before, Rob, a badger is a species at risk at my place if I got my 17 grain.
yeah,
The only time it isn't is when I don't have it. But they are an absolute menace. Yes, they eat gophers, but the destruction they leave behind them, and that's what's followed this gopher population in. So I don't want to leave a food supply around for them either.
yeah. And I felt like it was worthwhile for us to reach out because, like, I know when they originally set this or sent all this to us, they'd mentioned species at risk, and we just wanted to know like what was actually within the borders of our county, just so we can have that discussion, because there are lines in the application and paperwork that do reference this, so you do have to explain what's your mitigation tactic or whatever, right? Like, what are you doing to avoid having an impact on these species? So we just thought it would be good to get it all in one place and out there in the public, so at least you're not caught off guard by what's.
So writing on the form or putting in the computer shooting the badger is not the right answer.
Well, you definitely won't poison them if you shoot them, I suppose. But yeah, it's more just like, what is your approach going to be? It's like, okay, you know what, I go out if I have a species at risk, I'm going out every 6 hours or whatever you can explain that you're doing to try and mitigate it. It's not it's not that you can't still acquire strychnine. It's just you got to explain your plan around it to try and mitigate the risks or whatever. So, and to know, what animals you're actually looking for out there to keep safe. Okay, what else do we have? And then, scroll, what else? Yeah, then basically just, we kind of give a breakdown of where of the actual training and stuff here. So we just scroll through all that. That's more just for your guys' information, just to see what was there. I think that's really it for that. That was kind of our outreach as far as Facebook and things like that. So
Okay, and we have a few, the decisions are in front of us, the next couple items. Go
Yeah.
ahead, Board Member Clark.
Rob, I just forwarded that, email I had about the dog that was
right.
was determined, and I sent it to Chairman Gano and yourself, because that come through provincial ASB. And that's before strychnine's even released. You wonder, it almost looks like somebody was trying to set our whole program up. Because everything was just matched, so this dog got into the, that person should be punished, because I think purposely a dog was poisoned with strychnine to try to make a point.
And well, somebody obviously had carryover, right? Like,
Yeah, and they had carryover, but I mean, this, if it was the person's own dog, I don't suspect that they would haul it to the vet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was this. It looks to be so far a bit of a setup. We're trying to follow through with it, but it looks like it's trying to make the program fail.
Yeah, and I think that, like, we definitely will be under scrutiny. There's going to be a lot of, every dead little animal or whatever will definitely be brought in and scrutinized to bring or to highlight issues with the program. I'm sure of it, but we'll just have to be extra vigilant that we're doing a good job. So, yeah, but
If there's no other discussion around the update, communications update, if I could have someone make a motion to accept this for information. Board Member Hunter accepts the communication update. All in favor? Carried. 6.5, request for decision, strychnine sales plan.
yeah. Okay, so now I guess we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of actually making decisions on how we're going to administer the strychnine sales plan. I'm not sure what the board would like to do and when we would like to get things rolling. Like, it looks like it'll be near the end of June when we actually acquire stock. The numbers that we have are going to be pretty minimal. And if we look at the list so far, being 123 plus probably double that, we're looking at the first round, we're going to get like 432 bottles. So it's like everybody's going to get a couple if we were to go that route. And I guess my concern now is the amount of paperwork that goes into one bottle is the same that goes into 50 bottles. And how do we create timing to make it fair for everybody and also not take away from the program? Because the efficacy later in the year is like, say a 10th of what it is in the spring, just because you're hitting, bred females, things like that, and you're actually controlling the population. I'm not saying that we don't roll out this year, because obviously people want to get their hands on it. It's just when and how we see fit to do it and how we would make it fair in the process. Now, the second window is, July the 15th. And I think that's, if we are going to have it this year, I feel like that would be probably a little more ideal, just because we would double up the volumes that we would have. Like, if we roll out in June, we really can't hand out a lot. If we wait till July in the second application window, at least we can have volumes that, for producers that, it's hitting that economic threshold or injury threshold, they could get a volume enough to work on it. But how do we determine that? I guess
Board Member Clark.
It's just, if we release this too quick and can only give people like 1, 2, or 3 bottles, we're just gonna be laughed at. Like, this is just a complete, and once again, the municipalities would be the ones that look like the clown in this. So I feel that possibly July 15th, but more likely, if you can carry over and you can still get a volume and we can put our case back to the provincial or federal government, whoever's monitoring this, that you start in March and then people can get, because one bottle only does an acre. So
Yeah.
if they have major infestations, like that's not even gonna probably cover, 1/4 section of the producers.
Yeah.
If
So-
it would even cover that.
It's just clarity. When do you expect the shipment?
Near well, it should be the first one should be, we're thinking probably the first week of June. So that only gives you from, say, I don't have to
Right.
look at
So,
the calendar.
let's
Yeah.
just say June 7th.
Yeah.
And how much product?
On that first shipment, we'll have 432 bottles.
So that could do 432 acres.
Yeah.
And then you're expecting another.
And then
Shipment?
from then on, what they're hoping for is monthly shipments of that same amount. So we just like every month get 432 bottles.
Okay.
Right up into the winter, Rob?
Right now, that's what they're, like at a minimum, it's to the end of the fall cycle, but they were hoping to keep that production level up right till next summer. So
And are we able to store, like if we get 432 per month and they come and we continues, are we able to store this all until March?
yes, we have space and the ability to. Yeah.
Oh, good. Sorry.
I think I'd release it as soon as we get it, but come up with an amount of bottles that makes this all worthwhile. And would you have a suggestion? Was like 4 bottles? Would that be enough to make it worth? So I'd say that'd be 100 people get it if we did 4 bottles. Or yeah,
So let's I think what we should do though is we should just for the first RFD, if we could just stick to just when we
When?
want to release it.
okay.
And kind of that
How we'll do?
yeah, just basically when we want to release it, we're going to do it on Thursdays or whatever, and kind of a charge, and then we're going to figure out
Okay, sorry.
how we're going to keep it fair, sort of in another motion. Sorry.
Board Member Stevens?
Just to quantify the scale of the problem with what they're sending us. Bottle per acre, correct?
Yep.
432 acres, and there's 980,000 acres in the county of Stettler. Just to explain the scale of how disproportionate this is. But my question is, part 2 of the motion that you're looking for is A, the timing, and then the administrative charge per sale. You said you had some examples of what other municipalities are charging? Is it break even? Is it 10%?
Yeah, and there was a little bit of
Else is doing?
across the board, like there was $30 a case was one of the examples, just straight up admin fee for that. And then there was a 12% admin fee, just again across the board. There were a bunch that were just doing it for free, that there was just, finally there was strychnine, so they were allowing it. Right up to $50 a case was the highest, and I'm not exactly sure which county had that, but it seemed like that $20 to $30 a case was kind of the markup, because it looks like it's going to be about $18 would be just the straight up cost. They don't know exactly, but that's ballpark-ish. It'll be about $18 a bottle, and then there were some that just rounded it to $20 a bottle just to help cover off some administrative costs. So it's like, I think everybody's not exactly sure how to move forward on it. That's why there's a lot of different answers there.
And what are you anticipating the amount of effort
Well,
involved with, so applications? So for each application, how many hours of work between processing the applicant and then the follow-up?
and and again, that's going to depend on the producer, right? If everybody does if they do it all right, and it's just a matter of reviewing the documents, like, you're still going to be in every transaction, I'd say 30 minutes minimum, like you will. Like there's
Yeah.
by the time they come to the door, they do the thing, and if it's multiple transactions, like it will be quite time consuming. I'm not sure exactly how we fit this all in, but that's why we're focusing it just on one day when people come in, just so at least the distribution part we can narrow that down. But I would say, yeah, that 20-30 minutes a transaction on average is what it's going to take, just based on we have to scan in documents, upload them to a SharePoint file, and again, if they're non-compliant, we have to reach out and try and get those things, because we also have to do our due diligence so that I can supply for this person who's doing it right, even if these people are doing it wrong. Like we have to prove that we're administering the program properly, so that will take time. So
Board Member Walker and Stevens, then Brooke.
I was just wondering, the options, so are you leaning more towards option one?
yeah, I think that's the best like compromise that still gets it out into the market. Like, I mean, in an ideal world, if everyone could kind of see it our way, like, and if you're not looking at risking the program, or I would say March 1st is like the absolute ideal. But the thing is, the rest of the world is going to be administering strict 9, so things are going to happen, and that data is going to be out there anyways. So if everyone would move it to March 1st, like every county, I think that would be the best situation, because you could just hit the ground and just have the best results.
And some counties have, correct?
Yeah, I believe there's 2, and off the top of my head, I can't remember which ones that have done it
I
so
thought
far.
the other
But
day you mentioned Camrose was moving to March 1st,
yeah, they were looking
but
at
we may be mistaken. We should check that.
and I think a lot of counties are still kind of discussing. They're sitting in the exact same boat we're in right now. But as far as like, a compromise, July still gets it out into the market, and gets people having somewhat of control, or at least collecting enough to have an impact later. But
Board Member Stevens? Oh, sorry.
yeah,
I'm hesitant to push it off till next year.
Yeah.
It's a small circle.
oh
I'll
yeah,
find
no,
out that other municipalities are already selling it, and we're gonna get flooded with questions either way.
yeah,
Whether it's, why don't you have enough to cover what I want to purchase? Or if Payne Earth is selling it, what are you guys doing that you can't get any to sell us? So we're gonna get the questions no matter what. I think that's unavoidable. You you gave examples for pricing of $25 to $30 a case, and I agree that a case should probably be our minimum sale. If you're talking about a half hour per customer, you don't want to do that 24 times just to get rid of a case. I think we set a minimum threshold, especially when a case is only going to do a maximum of 24 acres. I don't think anyone's going to be put out by having to buy the full case if they only wanted 6. I don't think we'll run into that. But we have to admit that our user fee is a pittance. Just in prep work, Rob and Farah have already spent more than what we would recoup. So it's going to be largely symbolic, and maybe it leaves the door open to raise it in the future, but 400 or 18 cases at $30 a case, like we're $540. We're probably a couple thousand in wages already, and we haven't even seen a bottle yet.
Board Member Brooke?
Seems to me, because we've had all the advertising from the government, federal government saying they're gonna do it, in the provincial government, there's tremendous pressure to get it out there. And I agree with Rob that ideally it would be good to have it available, a large quantity on March 1st. But I think publicly it's not gonna be palatable to them unless they get it this year. So I would probably go with the option 1. But then it does mean that to make it worth the while of filling in all the paperwork and spending the time, you have to have some kind of a minimum amount. Like if it was only somebody wanted 6 bottles, they don't have a serious problem. It's the guys who want 5 cases.
Yeah.
That should get something. But how do you prioritize it?
Board Member Hunter.
Well, I can see this going a few ways. But one thing, your certificate's only good for 1 year.
Yeah.
For one, and I really think, and correct me if I'm wrong, for everybody to do everything 100% proper, what is percentage of those people? I'll probably won't get it just because the flagging and you gotta go out there and check it, and it's, I mean, I'm gonna spend as much time as I'm shooting. So, and I agree with Justin, like, the case should be, but I don't know if we can. I know, I totally agree with your point, but at least if you, 6 bottles, I know
And-
your time and everything, but
And I think that was part of me leaning towards July. And I mean, again, people are going to be upset that we're not just opening the door to it the first day it shows up, but at least that would give me another shipment. That would get me to 864 bottles, right? If I waited to July, I'd have one more shipment on top of, you know, so we would be able to give a little bit bigger supply to some of those people in that
and
second.
I'm sure Painter isn't making any money off it. I mean, they're probably selling it cheap. Or Starland, or do you?
Yeah, nobody's making a bunch of money off it. I mean, this is a public perception of a one-off emergency use, and we're going to be profiteering, but we're definitely not doing that. So, yeah.
Board Member Clark.
It's just like $30 a case is 7% on the case is what your administration fee would be. But I agree that it needs to be at least a case. If you could do the 36 to start with, and then the next month you'd have the 18. The only thing is are the individuals having to use it this year, or are they going to be taking it home and stockpiling it? Because I can see taking it home so that you can get it, so that when you go to do it, you've got enough product. And if that's what we have to do, that's what we have to do. But it's to start poisoning gophers on July 1st. That maybe the people that taught me didn't have a degree in agriculture or anything, but you just didn't poison them after the green grass came.
No, like it's not as ineffective or as effective. It's time consuming, and you're getting 1-to-1. Like in spring, you're getting 10-to-1 if you poison a female in the hole. Like it just is what it is. Plus, they're going to eat it because there's no green grass, so it's exponentially better. The way the program is designed, that we're not supposed to be trying to accumulate it, but again, we know that's probably what's going to happen. They have listed fines and different things to try and deter that if people aren't following the correct paperwork and things like that. But with that said, I mean, we can't make determinations for other people either. Like we just can lay it out and in the best fashion. So
I haven't gone through the training yet. I hope to. As a producer, I fill out the forms and so on as part of my plan.
Yep.
If I don't use all my product, can I hold it over winter?
And they haven't given us a definitive answer on holding it for the winter. So you're supposed to give me your application window, and if that's going to be 2 weeks, at the end of that 2 weeks, you should have used up what you purchased from the county, and that's kind of how they've lined it up right now. But they haven't said that you can't. Like say we get a monsoon and it rains every day, and you're still holding on to it, and that was our questions for them, and that can happen. You can just get 3 weeks of rain, you couldn't do it, and the window's over, and you have it, and you're not going to return it for no cost recovery. You're going to keep it on the farm. And so I think they are trying to come up with that definitive answer of what we can do over the winter. It's just right now they've just kind of get
Outside of Bymore, nowhere in our county is going to get that much rain.
I know, but then you have to have used it up.
Board Member Hunter.
I thought in that course, Rob, that, correct me if I'm wrong again, that I thought we're okay till 27, then you had to turn it in.
Yeah,
So like
yeah.
you could keep it, get your bottles now, you can keep it, that's legal. But the end of 27, you gotta turn it back in.
Yeah, well, when you do your when you report back to us what you did and didn't use, they were just going to give uh, an absolute definitive answer in the legislation paperwork, whatever that goes with this, that says you can or can't. Like they were going to come up with that.
Am I
Uh,
correct on that though, what they said in that training?
Yes, and they did say that you could have the carryover till 2027, but when we asked specifically where it was listed in the legislation for keeping it based on the paperwork they provide, like it's a little more detailed than that. It's
Okay.
like there's a lot of things that they're like, yeah, you can do that or you can't do that. But when you actually read what they had on the forms and how the regulation was written, we got a couple different answers on that. So we just wanted clarity directly from them that we can carry it over if you have an extra 5 bottles you didn't use and you can have it. And we just haven't had that definitive answer, so I can't say
Oh,
for sure.
thank you.
I just don't want
I-
to.
I was wondering if you've seen the example where a county has chosen to just have a flat fee. So per applicant, let's say it's $100. That if you have a plan, you bring it in, doesn't matter if you take 2 cases or 4 cases or what have you, it's just a flat fee.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Okay.
Like me and Farah discussed like up to a maximum, right?
Okay.
Like if it's, you know, it's so much a case up to, or a basic administration fee or whatever, but
I'm thinking, I think it was your words earlier that it didn't matter how many bottles the producer took, it was going to be the same amount of paperwork for you.
pretty well.
Okay.
And if we had sufficient stock, I would agree with you. But the time to sell 1 case or 6 cases is negligible, right? And paperwork processing. So if we had stock, I'd agree with you. However, if we started charging $50 or $100 flat fee, well, we're gonna have farmers coming in. Well, then I want 12 cases. If I'm paying $100, I want every
Mhm.
bottle I can get my hands on to make it worth the while. So I fear that may exasperate our quantity issue. I get the impression from the board that everyone seems to be leaning towards some sort of charge. Does that seem to be the consensus?
I think in an emergency situation, our ag service board, we should be supplying this to the producers at what our cost is really. But if we have to do a charge and it's $30 a case, I mean, like that's 7%, I can possibly justify it, but you start getting you get up to that 12% and stuff, and that's profiteering off of an emergency situation. And especially they're going to compare to what the other, it's not just if Paint Earth and Starland and them are selling it right now. What's your price on it?
So,
And we're going to be compared.
and the reason I asked that question, because we're talking about such a small amount of money with this limited stock. I mean, whether we make 500 or 700 or 1,000, this is a money losing operation for the county. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's an emergency. We are going to get a ton of backlash no matter when we choose to sell it. The fact that we're not a storefront that's 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, they can stop in at their leisure with unlimited stock, we're going to get backlash. The fact that they have to do this training and all that, and then they still can't purchase the amount that they want or need, there's going to be a ton of backlash. So for the benefit of our staff having to deal with the public, I would actually be fine with waiving the fee for 2026. It's just at break even cost. And then it gives our staff some ammunition when people come in angry because we're out of stock the day after it's listed for sale. And listen, we're giving it for our cost. We're selling it as soon as we have it available. It's just kind of building staff a bit of a defense on why this is a calamity and it's out of our control. So my preference would be option 3, when we receive it, because then we're not withholding anything. And 0% administrative charge for this year. But I'm open to discussion if there's alternate opinions.
Board Member Brooke?
Well, if you're gonna be selling it as they come in, as soon as we've got it, that narrow window in June, would there be some mechanism there where you could say, okay, you've got your X1 case, say, what about when the July cert ones come in? You can't say, oh, you've already had yours. We got another 150, 15 people that want strychnine.
I think part of that'll be on the next
Yeah.
point. So that's the distribution model that we
Okay.
choose. And once again, I think that is a no-win scenario.
Oh, absolutely.
That's why we had to break them up.
Two tough decisions.
Yeah.
Well, I'll see where it lands. If it doesn't pass, then someone else can make an alternative motion. But I will move option number 3, that we sell it as we receive it on the date that our staff has chosen as most convenient for them, and charge 0% admin fee for the current year.
Discussion? Yep. Board Member Brooke?
Not charging anything, even just the token amount, like $30 a case is not much. But it is the recognition that there's a significant cost to the county and to the employees, right? I would tend to go, myself, I think I would go with option 1. Just to make things interesting.
I appreciate that. I put a motion on the table. If it does not pass,
Okay,
and the next motion is an alternate, I would not vote against the fee. We'll put it that way. So
From a discussion point, the board here has reminded me of the word emergency, and we have, that's the reason it is here. And so I think we need to monitor that. And regarding the motion that's on the floor, it's for this year, and we can modify it if we better understand the expenses, I guess, of what's been brought forward. My comments. All right, any more discussion on the motion on the floor? Okay, we can vote. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, one opposed? Carried. All right, Rob, you're on for 6.6, request for decision, strychnine stewardship program distribution model.
Yeah. So we debated back and forth on how we would how we'd administer it, and every option we came to, we had kind of a counter argument, which it's like a lose-lose situation. I haven't been able to like steer this one that makes the most sense. There's options that are definitely easier for us to administer, but I don't know that with the numbers that works either. I think we have to kind of gauge public perception and how it works for everybody, which may not work as well for administration. And we sort of decided that's how it's got to be. There's no real good way around it. Yeah, so if anyone has suggestions, like we thought about a lottery system, but again, how does that work later on? And how do you, and the lottery system playing into that, when you start looking at the injury and economic thresholds or whatever, it really doesn't balance that out, because essentially we're supposed to monitor this based on need. And again, the criteria for need is somewhat of a gray area, because you could take economics into play, and is what's the impact on a canola crop, or you have a marginal hay crop, but you still have the populations. There's a lot of variables that can go into that. So we kind of kept coming back to the drawing board and need to decide how do we keep this fair, because we have more demand than we have product. So
Board Member Walker.
yeah, I kind of like that option too. They're not gonna do a lot. It's like at the dump where they give in fights for the, take what you want. If we had an equal allocation distribution, you're not gonna get the. And having said that, gophers, depends on how many on, like, your one can might do 20 acres, 25 acres, depending on how many holes are. Depending on how many holes are. what to do.
Board Member Stevens?
Just kind of a question for clarification. If you're leaning towards equal allocation, would you agree that it is a combination of 2 and 3 at that point? Because we're gonna run out. So essentially, you're combining first come, first serve, and you're setting, this is the amount we'll sell, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4 cases, whatever the amount. But no matter what you pick as an amount, you're gonna run out. So it's would you agree it's a combination of the two?
I just know farmers are going to buy all they can get. That's not gonna work for them.
Yeah, like the concern I had with equal allocation, again, threw that out there, but it's how do we know how many people are coming in? Like, is there 300 people and we just decide we're just gonna give everyone one bottle in the first go round? Because I don't really know. Is my list a comprehensive list of producers? No. It's 120 some of them, but we don't really know what the number is, right? So it's really hard to say, hey, you can only have one or two, and that exact dialogue is what got us to this lottery system, and then segued down that rabbit trail as well. And first come, first serve. I get it. Or do we have the people that did the training first? We have a number of, I think we have 26 people that did training first. I know the order of that. Like, it's just it's like a lose-lose situation. Do we just
Board Member Clark?
I don't think to do that equal allocation really isn't gonna work. It's just to get 1 or 2 bottles. I do think we're to the case unless somebody came in and said they wanted a half a case. And then at that point, it shows really what their infestation is like. So I think you're never gonna keep everybody happy, but an equal allocation, you're just gonna gather a whole bunch of people on certain days so that they can all grumble that they didn't get enough and what a stupid program we're putting out. So I do think you're almost gonna have to look at the lottery system, and then when we roll into July, maybe you could have board members sit in a dunk tank, and if you hit the dunk tank, you win. You can get your case of gopher poison or pie throwing contest or something. So, but it's really putting us into a tough spot with the amount that we're getting and the timing that we're getting. So, if you're gonna roll it out now, I think it's more you gotta give enough, and as I said, you may not be giving it to the people that are gonna use it this year. That's a chance we'd have to take in any case.
Board Member Brooke?
Yeah, I was looking at option 3 and I was thinking that, well, first come, first serve, what happens if you get 150 people waiting and you're only gonna serve the first 30? You just have a lot of really unhappy people. So,
I think I have vacation days. Short straw.
Board Member, was there anything
I was
else?
just thinking, I would probably have to go with some kind of lottery system, option 1, because the others just don't. You're gonna get people mad at you no matter what you do.
Board Member Hunter?
Yeah, I'd make a motion that we go to the lottery distribution system, and I'm open to a friendly amendment on this one. But if we sell a case, what we sell, that's only 18 people we serve. Or whatever, and then I'm gonna lean towards lottery system at 6 bottles a person. And, I mean, that's what, 72 people, whatever it is. It opens the doors, but I am open to any friendly. I know Justin's thinking.
How many bottles in a case?
24.
Okay, thank you. And can they be decanted, like moved around
No.
easily or
Well,
not?
no, as far as like we can do whatever we need to is the allocation of bottles, but yeah.
Okay, thank you. Board Member Stevens.
When this was started, Rob pointed out that there was a lot of debate. Well, you don't need external debate. Every one of us has internal debate. There is no right answer to this. Like the scenario that's being suggested, if everyone got 72 people got 6 bottles, we have 72 frustrated people and then another 1,000 that are pissed because they're not. Like there is absolutely no winning. And I'm debating, no matter what we choose, that my next motion is going to be that we have the peace officer out there on the first day just to help with crowd control. Like it could be that bad.
I have a question around the lottery system. So tell me more about how it might work. Would you advertise then that we're going to have a lottery? People need to put their name in if they have a valid training certificate, and they'd be put in the lottery. And then once you're in the lottery and get picked, are you out for the next monthly shipment?
That was the next layer of debate with the lottery system. Yeah, and that's what we discuss. It's like, is it people who have the certificates, like right now, whoever's got the training could be eligible for the lottery system as it sits right now? We probably have to advertise that in some way, shape, or form, and assume everybody gets it. And I know our outreach is somewhat limited, and these were some of the challenges we saw with the lottery system. And are we allocating it in the proper way? Like it's like, yeah, I drew your name because you took the training, but you really don't have that big of an issue right now, right? Compared to the next person. So as far as how you'd administer the lottery system, I think you would have to limit them in the second round. Like if you got it the first round, you'd almost have to be out for the second round, depending on the numbers, and then that becomes a bit of a challenge. But
Board Member Brooke.
Hey, I was just thinking that you've already got 26 people who've taken the training. Could you use or make an assumption that because they are desperate for it, they've taken the training right away, and that is a sign of need? I know it's not perfect, but it would be one way to look at it. That
Board Member Clark. Sorry to interrupt. Were you done? Okay, sorry.
Our most desperate people may have been calving out cows, Harry, or seeding or spraying, and not had the time to go through this, and maybe aren't the best with computers. So I think it's got to be names put in, and you have to have your training in order to put your name in. But I think the first on the list maybe shows me who had the most time.
you're right.
Yeah.
Board Member Hunter.
Rob, do you have a list? Like, okay, I did mine, right? I got my,
they haven't disclosed the names and that to us yet.
okay, no,
It's supposed to be.
but will you get that?
We will get, yeah, we'll have that list once they determine that, hey, we're shipping this out to you. They said around that time frame we'll have that list so that I can verify. Yeah.
So can I make an amendment to that motion or I can't? No, like so if you get picked the first time, you don't get picked the second.
I'll make that friendly amendment for you.
Okay.
How's that? Can I do that as the chair?
Yeah.
Okay. Amendment, a friendly amendment, that once you're picked for the lottery, you're out for the calendar year.
Or until
Okay,
supplies catch up.
okay, until supplies catch up. Board Member Stevens.
I'm not opposed to a lottery outside of one reason which makes me lean against it, and that is I feel like in an effort to try and hurt the least amount of feelings, knowing that people are going to be upset no matter what, we may have chosen the most complicated process of the 3 options, further increasing our staff time, which we're trying to avoid. Like, I honestly envision if we're going to sell out, if we get one Thursday from 2 to 4, all 18 cases are gonna be gone in that 2-hour window. And it's done. Sorry, we're out. We'll notify you as soon as our next shipment comes in. And the only reason I lean that way is because we all admit that there is no right answer. People are gonna be pissed off, but it's the KISS principle. Keep it simple. We've given you access as soon as it's available. When we're out, I'm sorry. We're doing everything we can. We'll notify you later. But a lottery system seems like the most complicated option.
Okay, we have any more discussion? We have a motion on the floor. Rob, did you want to add anything right now?
I'll leave it at that for now.
Okay,
We'll just,
so
yeah, I think they'll be.
Board Member Clark.
Does that motion still at 6 bottles?
That's what I made.
Okay.
So Board Member Brooke.
Could I possibly make an amendment to increase that to half a case? Just because,
You can do whatever you want.
okay, I would like to amend that motion to increase the amount to half a case, because it's, I don't know how much time the staff's gonna have to be to fill out 72 people, or make sure 72 people out there.
Just to explain the process. An amendment is proposed. The mover has a choice whether to accept that as friendly or not. If Board Member Hunter chose not to accept that as a friendly, you can still move that as an amendment.
Okay.
It would just go to a vote. So if the majority, if Board Member Hunter declined it as a friendly, he thinks that that's
Yeah.
sticks is what he wants to stick with, then you can still move the amendment. The majority of the board would have to support it, and then it would be added. Just,
And I was just thinking that Alan's got, or board member Dino's got a previous amendment.
yeah, and
That was friendly.
Accepted.
That was
and
friendly.
that one was
Was it-
accepted.
Okay, good.
I just wanted to,
So
just a process for everyone.
Yeah. so your friendly amendment to Board Member Hunter is what again?
Dave, I'll put it to motion.
Okay, so now we'll put
Well,
It is your choice whether you want to move that amendment forward.
I
He did
do
not-
wish
Okay.
to move that amendment.
Goes to a vote.
okay, so we're going to, just to be clear, we're going to vote on the entire motion?
Whether we
amendment.
include
Just the
that
amendment.
amendment
Okay,
in the motion.
and the amendment is for,
That we would, the minimum amount of, or the amount of person, the amount of strychnine that would be available per person that gets it would be at 12 bottles. Or not 6.
so we have an amendment on the floor. Any more discussion? All in favor? Okay, opposed? 2 opposed. So it's carried.
So it is added to Wade's original motion. And if there's any
More discussion.
debate-
So maybe we could repeat the motion that's on the floor now then.
did you have that motion?
Okay,
Actually,
just wait.
Krista maybe would
Yeah.
be here.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so you're going to direct administration to implement the lottery-based distribution system for the 2026 season, whereby eligible producers are entered into randomized monthly allocation draws based on the availability supply of 12 bottles. And then we are going to, once you have been picked for the lottery, you will be ineligible until supplies are healthy in the 2026 year.
Okay, that's the motion you made? Yes. Any more discussion around the motion on the floor? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? 1 opposed.
Correct.
Okay, Rob.
Now that the
Is that
easy
a
one's
smile
done,
of,
Rob.
of glee or just a smile, a resigned sigh? What do you think? All right, herbicide request for decision, spray pricing models.
All right, slide down here. Yeah, so at the last meeting, we discussed our rates and how we didn't want to create a system where, getting a weed notice was a great discount on how to control weeds. So we looked into what are some of the rates in the area, what other counties are charging. We surveyed 17 other municipalities, and there was a lot of variance in the rates from kind of $50 an hour to $150 an hour. We spoke with industry to see what they were charging in the oil field and industrial commercial applications, and it varied from 120 to 190. There were quite a few in that 155, 165 an hour. It seemed, and that was kind of across the board. So what we were looking at right now is basically if we had a $75 per hour cost recovery rate, if it's somebody called in and they wanted spraying done on their property or whatever, we'd be able to do that and kind of incentivize people to take care of their weeds and do those things. And if it came to an enforcement rate, we had an option of $155 an hour plus herbicide and an administration fee on top of that. And then just because we'd be issuing the notice and working with enforcement that way, there'd be a $100 fee per occurrence. That was option one. And then the next option two, it's closer to reality of what the costs are and a little more aligned with industry. So it'd be $85 an hour would be our spray rate for private land spraying, things like that. And our enforcement rate would be $165. And again, the $100 mobilization fee, which seemed fairly common. And I don't know if that's where we want to be on the private land spraying, but I think on the commercial side, that does align us to kind of disincentivize having the county come in and spray just to save a few bucks.
Board Member Clark.
I have been vocal on this throughout the years, Rob, so don't take it personal, but the 75 or $85 an hour recovery rate for moderate or enhanced cost recovery is that is for a
like that would be like side by side going out. Like we'd have, yeah.
So is that planning that if you went to an area, you would, like with acreages is something I've always pushed.
Yeah.
And those people aren't trained. They probably can't buy the chemical. So
Yeah.
you go to an area, you spray a bunch of acreages. So that's hauling it out? Or is that going out on a per time basis? Because I have a side by side. It depends what
Yeah.
your depreciation rate of your side by side is, and for the amount of hours we'd put on it in a year, I don't think it would be that high. So,
Like it's essentially the rate we'd be charging because of course, like sure, if everybody was just right in, in our backyard here or whatever, you could just have a standard rate of X and that's what it is. So you wouldn't have travel, or you would, however you want to calculate it out. But what we were thinking, it's like, if you went out to buy more to do it, it's like we got there, we set up, it's $75 an hour when we're there, because it's sort of like if you live 20 minutes further out, you're a little bit punished for just living farther from town. So we tried to average that out. So it isn't obviously going to cover all the costs from a business perspective, but I think like it is fair if we're, driving out to Buffalo Lake or whatever to do an acreage and we're there for an hour at $75. It's a great rate, I think, to have somebody come out and control weeds, and you can do a lot of work in an hour.
Board Member Stevens.
I have a question for staff. As I understand it, if ASB was hired to do private land spraying, there is not a mobilization fee. So it's it's 75 or 85 plus herbicide, and that's it.
And it's kind of at the door. We weren't going to add like the mobilization and everything else. Like we're eating that part of it, and I feel like that just makes it easier.
And then in the event of an enforcement, then it's the admin and mobilization fee on top of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Board Member Walker.
I am in favor of this. One thing that with the acreage owners, trees, actually, one place I lived at, I sprayed my, and then a mile away, the trees died. When it was, the MD went and sprayed them, but she's wanting me to cover her trees. We were nowhere near it, so that's gonna be great. Do we have a sign on it?
Yeah, like, well, anytime you apply herbicide, like you have to check all the weather conditions, temperature, wind speed, things like that, right? So you have that documentation that helps you mitigate, you know, any liability off-site. Like, you know, somebody had to prove the weather and everything else that there was an anomaly or something was different on the books. But if you are keeping your logs and records properly, it's not a huge risk. I think we reduce the overall risk in the community by helping people with this. Like, so.
Board Member Hunter,
I'll make a motion. We go with option 2, the enhanced cost recovery.
Board Member Stevens,
I'm supportive of that option. Initially, I wanted to get out of the private land spraying as a municipality. However, I was convinced that due to the shortage of private options, that, I mean, when there is no other options, is there responsibility by the municipality to fill that gap? And yeah, that makes sense to me. And by offering that service to the smaller ones or the hobby farms or acreages that may not have the experience or capability, you're helping out the broader ag community. So I'm now supportive of offering it, but I think, to get back to my original point of, is there a private option? I think the closer we get our pricing to what is privately available, we're not artificially discouraging people from entering the market. Because in a perfect world, if we had more private businesses that started up doing this, I'd be quite content if the market was flooded to end the program. We're just nowhere near that. So for that reason, I like getting closer to the private pricing.
Board Member Clark,
If that just proves that our ASB is is wanting to become commercial. If you want to get ahead of the weed situation and the noxious weed situation, you do it for what your hard cost is. That's what was done in years past. That is how you got ahead of these things. If you go back to when scentless chamomile and toadflax were big in the county, you got charged for the amount of people that come out. And with toadflax, at least we're talking spraying here, but with our scentless chamomile, pardon me, you had to pick everything too. It was a brutal job, and they worked with you arm by arm, but they charged you the flat rate of what their labor was, what their travel was. You knew, and people come out there and worked. So part of this is the county is the ones responsible for spreading things like absinthe and wormwood around our county from our gravel pits. That's one of our biggest things that we've had to try and deal with is absinthe or wormwood in our gravel pits. So if you're lucky enough to have your land along roads, major roads, you have it spread. And with the amount of feed that goes around, it spreads. So if we want to get ahead of these weeds, I don't think we put it to our producers or to our ag people. If after you've did this program and people don't maintain it, or people, are willing to be charged an hour for everything. But I mean, there's some that's going to be a lot more than an hour to do. And you go to, especially where there's horses, where they chew everything right down to the ground in certain areas, that absent wormwood has been, it takes off, and it's got a mind of its own. So I don't agree with enhanced at all. I think it's cost, and I don't know. When I see enhanced, I question how our costs come up, because it looks like we're just charging about half of what commercial does.
Rob,
Yeah, and it just kind of, rambling worked out to close to half. But I guess what I see with some of this, it's like smaller acreage type spraying. And maybe that's a discussion where we have to look at, if we're stepping into over X number of acres or hectares, are we looking at a per acre rate or something, right? Like, hey, we're out and we're in ag. Like my mindset with this was like, when I'm thinking of people along the lake or smaller acreage owners that are going to have a big oops, we have a bunch of water out there that we definitely don't want contaminated. Um, and we come in there like on a professional basis and we know we're doing the right things. If we expand beyond X number of acres, maybe we should look at a minimum and a per acre rate that is reasonable, because there isn't anybody, especially pasture, and I don't know how we move that forward. Like in the north, we did have, a tractor and 3-point sprayer and some tow sprayers. Like we actually went out and did some rough terrain spraying. And when we were trying to get rid of tall buttercup, and it was just literally for that initiative. We had a tall buttercup initiative around the lake, and we went out and we helped people spray, and we had just set a rate aside for projects like that. Like we were looking to get into the spray business. We had a problem to take care of, and we put a policy and things aside to make that happen. And maybe that's something we could discuss around Wormwood. But with this, what we were looking at is more, you're in that couple acre range, and you're going out and dealing with it that way.
Regarding your motion, could I have some clarity around MOB fees and whether or not they're in or out? A mobilization, so I think the
Well,
intention,
Way it reads
okay,
here,
Mike, please, sorry.
it's enforcement, isn't it?
There's only a mobilization fee if we're pursuing an enforcement
Right.
notice on weeds. There isn't otherwise.
Is that clear enough in here? I guess so, eh? So it's, if I utilize this service, the clock, per hour clock, starts when you pull in the driveway?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we have any more discussion on the motion that's on the floor? Seeing none, call for a vote. All in favor? Opposed?
Myself.
Carried. All right, board's request for information, we didn't have any. New business, Bill 22, Animal Protection Act. Rob?
Yeah, so there's been some discussion around Bill 22. I'm not overly familiar with a lot of the changes on it. It's kind of a quickly added portion of the meeting, but from what I gathered, there was some changes to some of the penalties and things like that to give SPCA and peace officers a little bit more teeth and to kind of scare people off of infringing on animal welfare and things like that. I couldn't find where the legislation really changed to how do I say, like, to change. It doesn't really change the overall administration of the policies and things like that. It just basically, how should I say, it basically just, when they actually get to court and they get to that point that they can administer the fines and things that are levied, so that it's not just a discussion point, I guess is what they were trying to do. They were trying to give some teeth to it. Now I know there was some discussion about giving SPCA too much power in this, but I don't really have that argument. So if someone has feedback on, that would be wonderful.
Board Member Brooke?
Just wondering how, I'm just wondering how the proposed changes to the act compared to our other provinces like Saskatchewan and Manitoba, because it sounded like from the preamble that it was trying to sort of bring it closer to what they had.
And it probably
mom-
does. I guess full disclosure, my mom worked for SPCA for a few years after she retired, so we had a bit of a dialogue about this. And some of the biggest changes are when SPCA made the jump into large animal, and they were dealing more with cattle and things like that. Whereas, like, historically, and probably the perspective of SPCA is they want to deal with smaller animals and things like that. But this was thrown under their umbrella, and they're taking it on. So they are looking at modeling it what appears to be more like BC. And in BC, it definitely has some teeth, and it has more authority, and it's perceived that way as well. Here, it's been like more of a watchdog kind of process, I guess, as far as the SPCA. And I know there's been some things and whatever brought into question on how they administer and the follow through and things like that. But I guess the goal of this was to, just give it more teeth. And behind this is, as a ag service board, do we support, bigger fines and things like that, and having the SPCA behind it? And if we were moving forward, is there any advocacy or anything we want to represent? Because I'm not entirely sure what we're opposed to. Unfortunately, I
Or-
just
Board Member Clark.
I've read a lot of bills and this just reeks stupidity. It reeks somebody that doesn't understand agriculture whatsoever. When you start talking about your sanitary conditions for your animals, most ranchers try to keep your cows in the best spots they can in calving. We had 2 weekends this year. I can guarantee you everybody's cattle were in distress. And we worked hours around the clock trying to keep them out of distress. And all you need is an SPCA agent coming up and knocking on your door and telling you your cattle are in distress. And they might be the one that sees distress. Because you look at you put a cow in a trailer at -20, even if you got the sides covered in, tell me they don't have distress. So what's their definition of distress? Or horses that are outside all the time with their winter coat, they're distressed because it's cold outside. No, they're not. If they're fed properly, they have proper food and water, they're fine. So I read it and it's just talk about government overshadowing, and the SPCA should stick to their dogs and cats in town.
Board Member Stevens, sorry.
Because if you're a true if you're that bad of an agriculture producer, there should be other laws that take you out of producing agriculture. But when I read this, it's disgusting. We got pigs coming from Manitoba to Vancouver. Tell me some of those pigs aren't in distress on those trucks. Like that's part of the food chain, and it's allowed now. And is it going to be allowed, or do we want to follow BC's model on everything? I think we're starting to see it in a lot of our labor and everything, and I don't agree with it. But that's like a lot of the bills our government's passed in this last sitting of legislation.
Board Member Stevens.
The proof will be in the pudding, how this is enforced. I mean, I am very disenfranchised with our legal system in general. And I use the term legal system because that's what we have. We don't have a justice system. When you talk about our ag producers and our ranchers, if they legitimately saw abuse or neglect of livestock or animals, they would be the ones wanting the increased enforcement. But the devil's in the details. A distress. Well, I know a cattle liner. He hauls buffalo for 2 days. They are on that trailer for 48 straight hours because he can't. He's traveling that far, has to comply with his logbook. So, is that breaking the law? Is that animal in distress when they can't get food or water for 2 straight days?
Board Member Brooke.
That's kind of the question, because I know it kind of got my red flags up when I saw beyond basic survival needs to include behavioral and environmental conditions. I'm not so sure they've actually defined what those are, as opposed to the normal production practices we have here. Because you're right, Larry. It's the weather conditions can put everything under stress, and there's nothing much you can do about it.
The entire
I found it fairly vague, so it's possible that they could push it well beyond where it would be reasonable from a production point of view.
the entire thing is subjective and not well defined. And that's the problem. If you're going to increase enforcement or fines or penalties, then you need to clearly define what's inside the rules and what isn't. But if you're going to expand and broaden the language subjectively and also expand the enforcement, if you break a blurred, broad, subjective line, then I have concerns because it could be fraught for abuse. We don't know at this point how it'll be managed.
Board Member Hunter.
And I agree with everything that's been said here for sure. But are we just looking for, accept this for information?
Well, or if we, we want to put letters or advocacy forward in our opposition to this. Like, I honestly just haven't had a lot of time to
This,
research this
and
out.
tomorrow, I know this will be brought up at our RMA meeting
Yep.
too, because
Is it?
there'll be areas bringing this in for sure.
So
Yeah.
would we want more information on this Bill 22?
I don't know if we're gonna get it now because they've taken their summer break now. And just after pushing all these bills through
Okay.
and,
So where are we going to go with this?
I think we need to, it's gotta have more study and concerns put in because I see this, it's a level of distress. And I have heard over and over again, for instance, horses that are out on pasture and like the horse is standing there quite content on the north side of a bush patch when the wind's coming from the south, but that's horses abused because it's not in a barn every
So
day.
we need a motion saying that we,
We accept it for further review
Yeah.
or
Board Member Walker.
Yeah, I agree. Farmers don't, the 5% that the user have, 2%, that's who they're trying to protect here. I did have buffalo, and the buffalo shoots and buffalo heads, and they're heavy. So it's not big fight. The shoots are all closed in, sides are closed in. You cannot load a buffalo back. But I agree. SPCA jumping on, depending on the officer.
Board Member Clark.
just on abuse, I think this could be leveled at it, but when you start crossing countries with animals, like show bulls that go from here to Mexico, that are sold into Mexico, they can't be offloaded in the US. That it can be in summer conditions also. So when if the SPCA wants to get involved in something and they're cross borders, I think maybe they should look at that where there's spots where you can unload and they can have a drink of water and get back on because I've seen pictures of them going on the truck and coming off the truck. They are one sad looking animal coming off that truck because it's so hot and they do try to water them in the trucks and stuff, but it's just, we are in a world, our agriculture is not just in Alberta. It's federally and it's in this continent and across the world. We went through this before with the horses getting flown overseas, like the slaughter horses. Like those horses were treated like royalty.
Board Member Hunter.
I'll make a motion that we receive this for information and to, what's the proper terminology, to
Sure.
receive more
Yeah,
information?
what's missing to Board Member Clark's point is the regulation hasn't been wrote. So we need to better understand that regulation and keep this on our agenda as it's important to this board.
And possibly part of that, if I could friendly amendment, is put a note into provincial ASB in regards to our concerns over this bill.
I'll accept that.
And see what the rest of it's
Yep.
like also, yeah.
I'll accept that. All right, we've had a discussion. We've got a motion to accept for information. Kind of keep it in front of us. Any more discussion? All in favor? Carried. All right, so we're up against our end of time, but we'll get through these couple other items, I hope. 8.2 Stettler Agricultural Society Open Farm Days request.
Just one sec. Just about there. Yeah, basically we were approached by Stettler Ag Society and we'd had some discussions about a rejuvenation workshop And there is some grant funding available for that day on open farm days. We were just looking at the possibility of maybe renting a bus and doing kind of a bus tour to see what, what locations and sites throughout the county, showed good success with different rejuvenation practices, things like that, and make a bit of a tour on that same day. And we were hoping to partner with Wallaby Ag. We discussed, we're still seeing if the dates and things like that would actually align, but we thought that might be a good way to, get that rejuvenation workshop in there and utilize some funding available for open farm days. And basically, we're just looking if that's something the board would want to pursue, then we would, jump in and work to do that a little bit more as we go here.
Board Member Hunter.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we attend this tour or rent a bus. What else do we need to say on that?
What cost would there be, Rob?
And that's what we got to research out, just where we'd be kind of dollars and cents wise or whatever. Like it's probably looking like it'll be actually quite negligible with the grant funding. I'm going to be meeting with the Ag Society early next week about some other things, the e-tour or whatever, and we were going to discuss this topic. Just if everyone's in support of actually doing it, then I'll
Okay.
put the legwork into it. If it's something we're not going to do, then
To
Yeah.
receive more information on expenses.
yeah.
Okay.
Um,
So the motion is to, if I'm not putting words in your mouth, but that we're interested to learn more about this workshop and the costs.
Yeah.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Carried. Starland County, we have a request for collaboration on low-stress cattle handling workshop.
Yeah, Starland had reached out about a low-stress cattle handling workshop. We hadn't discussed this in advance. They just sent us an email, said they were trying to put this together with Dylan Biggs of TK Ranch. His basic fee is $2,500, and there'll probably be food in there, so you can assume probably be a $3,500 workshop. If we went partners, minimum $1,250, go 3 ways, $850-ish. I would say most likely if we could partner on thirds, it would probably be closer to $1,200. But I haven't had a lot of people request this one of me, and we hadn't budgeted it. But again, it was a request that was brought forward to us, so I just bring it to the board to see what you guys think about contributing or being part of it. Yeah.
Would we put that out there in see what interest there would be?
We could do a little survey and see what
So when's this booked for?
the exact date in the email. I don't know if I have the exact date off the top of my head here.
Is there further information further down?
Yeah,
Just
Yeah.
not on this topic? Okay.
I don't think they narrowed down the exact date. I think it was just like, hey, this is the guy we can get, and see if there's any interest with other counties taking part before they get too deep into it. I think that's kind of where the email was at, actually. But yeah, because I would just say at a minimum. Or- Yeah.
Yeah, I'm for myself, I'd like to understand if the County of Stettler ratepayers
Yeah.
would be attending or not. And I'm not sure that's your work. Maybe it's for the organizers
Yeah.
to help us understand what is the benefit to our ratepayers.
Okay. Yeah, I can do a little more research on that one. So we'll just yeah.
So if we have a motion to accept this for information. Board Member
I'll
Hunter,
give that.
any more discussion? All in favor? Carried. Right, correspondence. There's a number of pieces of correspondence that came in. Was there anything in here that the board would like to inquire with Rob about? Board Member Stevens.
I 9.3, weed and pest compliance. I had some issues, and this was one that we requested. If you go to page 102, we'll start there. So this came up initially during the mature asset strategy. One of the things that was identified by RMA through that process was we were having issues with weed issues on oil and gas sites, both with the odd negligent oil and gas company, as well as the orphan well ones that were waiting sometimes years, if not decades, on reclamation. And it was the landowners who had no control over getting this done. Couldn't, bit of a gray area, but even with permission, it was gray whether they could even spray the weeds. There's some rules around that, but they had to deal with all the consequences and the damages from it. So we asked for some expansion to allow enforcement of weeds. The request was twofold. And as we even had this conversation at when we hosted Central Zone RMA with one of the main consultants that did this program, Mature Asset Strategy. The request was twofold. He agreed it was a problem, but he didn't know how to deal with it. So he said, we can deal with it. We have ag fieldmen. We do weed notices. We do enforcement all the time. So request number one, you empower us to treat them like we would any other landowner in our municipality. And we can seek enforcement. And if they don't comply, then we can treat the weeds and prevent it from spreading to our landowners. And that's the part we got. Part two is you need to give us an avenue to get compensated for our costs. Because if we go through an enforcement action, there's considerable staff time in inspections, verification, giving them notice so that they can correct it. When they don't, then we have to go supply the chemical, labor, equipment to correct it. And we're out all of that. So they did not comply with part two at all. And in AER, it references this authority enables the AER to compel compliance through RCAM orders where pest or weed issues are associated with energy resource activities when all AGI or local authority tools are exhausted, yet weed or pest issues remain. So we have the authority, but then it goes further down. It talks about collecting money. The AER is not able to collect money from licensees to compensate or reimburse AGI or local authorities for costs incurred in relation to activities for weed or pest control. So, AER will not get involved in any way, shape, or form in our costs. So this is, oh great, you've identified a problem on an industry that we regulate. You've offered a solution. We're just going to download everything. You just take care of it. If you could continue solving our problems, that would be swell. So the AER would come into play for currently functioning oil and gas sites. Historically, OWA sites, orphan well sites, if a landowner, if you had a lease on your land and you didn't get any lease payments, you could apply to the LPRT to get your back pay or lease payments. But if you scroll down to 103, the Land and Property Rights Tribunal, where pest or weed conditions attributed to an energy-related surface operation result in demonstrable land impacts such as loss of use, damage, or adverse effects, the tribunal may consider those impacts as evidence. So they're not saying that they'll award it, but up further, while the tribunal may consider land impacts as part of a compensation assessment within that jurisdiction, it does not administer or enforce the Ag Pests Act or Weed Control Act, nor does it award compensation for noncompliance or enforcement costs arising from those acts.
It's,
So AER is saying, we're not going to get involved in the finances from currently operating oil company. And Land and Property Rights Tribunal is saying, we're not getting involved in any OWA sites. So when we did that education piece earlier, saying notify us if there's issues, we can seek enforcement, but the board needs to know that any enforcement we actually do is on our dime as the legislation sits currently.
Rob?
yeah, and after we had our meeting with the province, that was exactly our takeaway. Like they pitched it as though we had sort of a, hey, we'll give a notice and eventually you'll get, to the end and there'd be a chance to recoup some costs through orphan wells or whatever it would be if they were already defunct or whatever. But unfortunately, yeah, there's no avenue for compensation. Like if we, like at this point anyways, so basically if we were going to be issuing these notices, they're going to be basically reviewing them in a level of severity or whatever. So if you had an issue for like 5 years or whatever, that might get recognition enough to potentially, have an RCAM order at some point if it's still in process. But again, it doesn't get you paid. So I wouldn't want to have a contractor or anybody involved with actual enforcement. And anything we would be doing would be like, hey, we're trying to help out our ratepayer with a problem they have on their location, knowing that it's a tax-funded basically service to the community, because I can't see how we'd get paid or how you get paid within years with this process. So
Board Member Clark.
Okay, just on that also too, like I did sit through the mature asset piece and am on RMA, and at no time did we say at no cost. This all came about, we were one that showed the LPRT what the weeds situation was like, and when I say we, the county of Stettler did. So I have an RMA meeting tomorrow. I want to take this up to it also to say, to show what is being, if they haven't seen it correctly or haven't looked at it. And then also too, we have one more meeting with the premier over mature asset strategy. And this is going to be just one thing, another thing that's brought up. This was not what we asked for. This is not what we agreed to.
Yeah.
And it is not, if that was, if all we want to do is get stuff handed down to us and cost passed down to us, that this happens all the time. We didn't ask for it. It was to be able to help our producers to keep noxious weeds out of our municipalities, but we were to be reimbursed not adequately but fairly. And so I think we need to touch up on a few of these, or it could come back to our ASBs that we're not going to do it, and that may have to come from the provincial level. You can pass it to us, and we're not doing it if there's no compensation.
Board Member Hunter.
Clarification on the problem of this? Is it like the leased roads or the lease itself or? Okay. Because unlike on mine, I had that on mine. Just took my backpack spray out and I sprayed it myself. Was not a big deal. And anybody I know that if they have a problem with weeds, they're gonna go take care of it. They're not gonna worry about it.
Board Member Stevens.
So if a pipeline goes across your land and they're doing construction and they don't seed it, and let's say you have 30 acres of solid weeds that were never seeded, they didn't reclaim it properly, they didn't seed it, and it's covered in weeds. Is that your responsibility? Are you going out with your backpack to do 30 acres?
Well, I wouldn't sign off until it was done.
Okay, well, they don't pay their taxes, so if they get a fine, do you think they're paying that? And
No, I-
And I want to be very cognizant of separating the good oil and gas companies from the bad. But the most likely to ignore weeds altogether and not be a good partner to the landowner that they are leasing from are, if you took a Venn diagram, the crossover with ones that don't pay their municipal taxes, that's a lot of the same group. So if we were to do an enforcement and try and add it to their taxes, great. Company XYZ owes us $500,000 in back taxes. We added $20,000 worth of spraying and enforcement costs. Well, good. Now we have $520,000 that we can't collect. And the alternative is, okay, as a landowner, it is now your responsibility. Because they have a lease with you and they can get that lease whether you want them there or not. You can't legally stop them if the AER approves it. So you're forced to allow them access to your land. If the AER
Are you
approves,
talking pipelines?
if the AER approves a project, it goes forward. 100%. You can take it to court, you can slow it down, you cannot legally prevent it if the AER approves it. So, as a landowner, you can be forced to allow access to that oil and gas company. And then, should you be responsible as someone who may or may not be getting paid for that lease, should you also accept the weed responsibility for a negligent producer? And yes, you went out with a backpack sprayer. And a lot of our ag producers are in the situation where they have oil and gas experience and a lot of the safety certification. We have a lot of ag producers that do not have that experience. They have no idea what gas is venting. They have no idea what sour is, let alone if that site is sour. So I think it would be irresponsible for us to tell all of our landowners to fix something when they're putting themselves at risk.
But does this come back to the boards, the ERA?
A-
AER, I mean,
Um,
It was put onto the AER by the premier. So, but you're accepting, when you go on there and spray that, you're accepting liability for weeds on that location. Plus you're basically trespassing on your own land when you're spraying weeds on it. So it happened in a case, and I know you can look like take me to court, but there was also a case where a high clearance sprayer was just going in to spray over top of
Right.
some things on a lease. Pipeline right away caved and just buggered the booms on a sprayer. He received zero back. He tried to go after the oil company. The oil company wasn't paying their bills, as Justin said. You can bill them all you want, but he ended up having to pay everything himself or collect it through his own insurance. So that's kind of one of the things that spurred it on and said, well, you shouldn't be doing that. Well, how do you handle it? But it wasn't for the municipalities to pick up those costs.
So what I'm hearing is Larry's taken some action.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'll take it to RMA and then I'll also follow up with the premier meeting.
Board Member Stevens?
I would make a motion to instruct administration to send a letter with our concerns regarding the lack of compensation available for this download. Clearly indicate that this was not what we indicated as a solution during consultation periods with the provincial representatives, and ask for it to be corrected in upcoming regulations. And I would send it to Minister Jean, Minister Sigurdsson, Minister Williams, and then I would CC RMLA as well as RMA and provincial ASB.
We have a motion on the floor. Any discussion about that? All in favor of sending that letter? Carried. We have a number of correspondence. Would someone like to move acceptance of the correspondence? Board Member Brooke has moved that we accept. Any more discussion? All in favor? All in favor? All right. Rob, do you want to give a finance update? Short?
Yeah. Well, so far everything's on track. Our chemical orders and things like that are all pushed through, and we have inventory there. So I think we're pretty well good to go. No odd anomalies or anything like that. We're just working on the Connex stuff right now. So we'll see how that pencils out. But otherwise, everything seems fine.
Could I have acceptance of that verbal report?
Give it to you.
Board Member Walker? More discussion? All in favor? Carried. We've got a number of workshop and events listed. Are there any questions about those workshops and events? We need to have a, okay, could I have a receipt for information?
I'll make that motion.
Board Member Stevens receives it for information, the workshops and events. All in favor? Carried. Rob, we had a couple in-camera session items. We are running 20 minutes late. Is there anything pressing in that we couldn't put off?
I think we could hold off. It's probably
Yeah.
okay. We could.
Okay.
Next meeting.
Unless there's somebody in the,
I'll give you a motion to table those until the upcoming ASB meeting.
we have a motion to table. Any more discussion? All in favor? Carried. All right. We've got our next meeting scheduled for June 17th. And I guess call for adjournment. Board Member Clark.